Miss Luann Pygett in my kitchen. I am up to all kinds of good stuff in my kitchen today, trying to fit it into the time frame that I have. So I'm going to try to cook through that with you today. I hope that you enjoy it. I am going to flip this around real fast. Put this down here. I'm starting with the cake. It is called a hot fudge chocolate cake. This one is really easy to make. What this does, it makes like a pudding layer that cooks on the bottom. And I've already got some stuff in there. You just cook it all together, and this is not wanting to stay on my stand. Hold on. You cook it all together in the oven, and it separates into a cake layer on top and a fudge layer on the bottom. I'm going to quickly add something over here, though. I've got at my stove. I have a pan cooking over there with butter, and it's starting to make noise. And I'm going to put some carrots and green beans in there to saute, because that's what I'm doing with them today. Let me get a spoon here, and I'm going to add some salt. And I'm cooking that in a couple tablespoons of butter. That's like a half a pound of carrots and half a pound of beans. I'm kind of mixing them. This is a weird thing to cook together, beans and carrots. I've never cooked them together before. I'm going to turn on my vent. But I want to do it today because I want something different. Yeah, I just do. I just do. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm also going to start cooking this, or melting this 6 tablespoons of butter in this other pan, because I'm going to need that. I've already got my rice and my chicken pre-cooked. So I'm just going to, I'm adding some butter to this other pan, so hold on. Like I say, just to kind of get that started to melt. And throw away all this. So I've got the carrots and the beans. I'm going to saute them today in that pan. Okay, so while they're cooking, we're going to go back to the cake. Okay, so what we have here, I've already put it in. I have 3/4 of a cup of sugar, a cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of cocoa, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So you're going to stir these together. Let me bring this up. So these are like the dry ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and mix those together. Okay, there's that. You have an ungreased, now it says an ungreased 9-inch pan, so this does not make a real big cake. So if you want a big sheet cake size, regular size cake, you need to double this. But I'm only making a small one because we're going to have Thanksgiving in a few days, and we're going to have a whole bunch more goodies. So I don't need this to last forever. I just want a little bit. Still sauteing all these veggies over here. Let me move that away because it's melted. Put that over there. There we go. Okay, so I got all that. Then we need that pan later. Let's see, what was I doing? Oh, I know. I need to get out my milk. That's what I was doing. And my measuring cup. Okay, so I'm going to get that ready. So it tells me to add to this hot fudge chocolate cake, you're going to add milk, butter, and vanilla. So you're going to add a 1/2 cup of milk. So let me measure that. I'm going to pour in 1/2 cup of milk. This is regular whole milk. I'm just making a big mess over here with milk. There was milk in the lid, and it's hot. I don't know why there was milk in the lid. Hold on, let me clean up the little mess I made. There's a little bit more milk to drip in there. Got it on the floor. Just a minute here. All right, there we go. Let me stir my veggies. So I'm cooking all kind of stuff together here, kind of fast today, and I do it all together. All right, so then I'm going to do 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. I always use real vanilla. To me, imitation vanilla is bitter. I don't want that. Use a good kind. Real vanilla. Okay. If you accidentally get a little more in there, it'll just be better. Okay, so there's that. And you're going to put in 1/3 cup of melted butter. I've already melted it in the microwave, 1/3 cup of melted butter. And we're going to stir that together. This is a neat cake. It's really fast, really easy. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to beat this, and then we're going to put it in an ungreased pan. Again, this only makes a small cake. So if you want a big, full-size cake, just double everything. Get my pan. And let me show you how to make this. It's really different if you've not made one like this before. I'm going to go ahead and just lower this. Okay, there's my pan. It says a 9-inch pan. I do not have a square 9-inch pan. This is an 8-inch pan. If you have a square, I have an 8-inch and a 10-inch. If you have a square 9-inch pan, good for you. Use your 9-inch pan. I don't have it, so I'm using an 8-inch pan. So what you're going to do, ungreased, is you're going to put the batter in the bottom of this pan. So let me take it off of the thing here. I've actually got to move this. It's in my way. You will find it really interesting to note this cake does not have eggs. No eggs. So if you don't want eggs in your diet for some reason, here you go. Cake with no eggs. I have another recipe of a cake that doesn't have eggs as well. First time I made that, I'm like, how's this going to work? It has no eggs. It doesn't. Doesn't have eggs. It still works. Depends on the cake. But this does have, I did put in, already have it in there, the baking powder, so it'll rise from the baking powder. I'm just trying to get all of this extra off the beater. It's real sticky now. This is going to be real thick and sticky batter. See on my hand, see how it's going to stick. Let me get rid of this beater. But you know, you can eat this raw without concern because there's no eggs. And here it is. It's almost like cookie dough. So you're going to put that in your pan. You're going to spread it around. Then we're going to tell you what else you're going to do. If you've never made a cake like this, it's really different to make, but oh, is it good. So it'll have like this hot fudge sauce on the bottom when it's done baking. That you cut the cake, and you're really going to need a spoon. And you spoon some of the sauce. Trying to find somewhere to put this bowl. There we go. I'm out of counter space. I got everything. I got so much stuff around here. You're going to spread this in your pan. But you will spoon up the hot fudge off of the bottom when it's done baking. And so you have like cake with hot fudge on it. Oh, it's so good. It's really good served warm. Alright, so there you go. You got the batter spread around. Get it off of your spatula. I'm licking it. Alright, so then what you're going to do is you are going to take 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of white sugar, and 1/4 cup of cocoa. And you're going to mix that together. So I've got that in that bowl right there. Those 3 things. Hold on, I got to get my... Ooh, I bet these are brown in here. Let me turn that down. Just one moment. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to mix those together. So let's mix them. I have them in here, but they're not mixed. 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of white sugar, and 1/4 cup of cocoa. So you're kind of making hot chocolate. Mix. This would be like a hot chocolate mix. Mix it together. Kind of has a little lumps. The little lumps aren't really going to matter. Just try to get it all mixed well. Then you are going to take this mix. Doesn't it look like hot chocolate? No. Hot chocolate mix. To get that mixed, you're going to take it and sprinkle this whole thing over the top of the cake. It's a lot. But this is what's going to make like the fudge at the bottom. Even it out. Then you are going to take 1 1/4 cups of hot water. I've already got it hot. I heated it in the microwave. And you're going to pour this on top. Isn't this the craziest cake you've ever seen? You do not stir. You do not mix. It will do it itself. You pour it on top. And it's going to be sloshy watery. And you do it. And then you're done. Look at that. Then you're going to put it in the oven. You're going to bake it at 350 for 35 to 40 minutes. It says until the center is almost set. You're not really going to use a toothpick to test this because it's going to be goo at the bottom. Because you want it to be goo at the bottom because that's your pudding. So, and it's not going to look very exciting on top either. It's going to look kind of like, it doesn't look that interesting. Yeah, wait till you get to the bottom. 35 to 40 minutes. You're going to let it stand for 15 minutes after you take it out of the oven. Then you're going to scoop it with a spoon into serving dishes. You can use whipped cream or ice cream with this. And it's total water on top, so be very careful. Put it in the oven. I'm going to set it for 35 minutes to then check it. Alright, so our cake is done. How easy of a cake was that? Okay, so I'm going to take you over here to the stove now. Here are my carrots and green beans, of all things, to put together. My own idea to make glazed carrots, but green beans too. So I'm going to then take them. I think they're pretty well done. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And then I'm going to actually make this other over here first. Let's go all the way over here, so you can see this. This is what I'm going to do with the chicken and rice casserole. I'm going to make a white sauce in that pan right there. So what I have melting here is 6 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. 6 tablespoons of butter. My rice is already cooked. I did turn that off. So with the 6 tablespoons of butter, I am going to add 3 tablespoons of flour, and I have like a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So I already have that all together in this little bowl. I'm trying to speed it up. So I'm going to put that in, and you're going to stir that into your flour. I'm turning this up on like medium-high heat, and you're going to get this to bubble. This is making what they call a roux. It is butter and flour. Now this roux is, usually a roux is equal parts butter and flour. This one's heavy on the butter because you want it to be, you don't want it to be that thick in this recipe. So we're going to let that bubble. Then I'm going to use 1.5 cups of chicken stock or broth and 1.5 cups of milk. So I'm going to go ahead and get the milk measured, and I'm going to heat the milk a little bit in the microwave. You do not have to do that, but I like to do it because it's going to speed this up. Otherwise, you just have to wait for the milk to get hot on the stove. It just takes longer. So if you do it in the microwave, it's faster. Alright, so there's that. So just heat it for like a minute or so in your microwave. While that's heating here, then the other thing I'm going to do is I have this little pan. Oh, no, that's something else. Hold on. It's the other pan. This pan, I'm going to use this pan, and I am going to put in, I'm going to turn that on low, I'm going to put in a tablespoon of brown sugar. This is what I'm going to do, believe it or not. Yeah, I've never made this with green beans in it, but I just wanted to try this today. So, can you see that pan over there? Yes, you can. Okay, this one. I'm putting in a tablespoon of brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of honey. This is for a pound of vegetables. Usually I do all carrots. Today I want to be different. Carrots and green beans. Now I already have the butter, I sauteed them in the butter. So you would put 2 tablespoons of butter in with this too, but I cooked them in the butter. Normally, when I make this, I pouring honey. Use any honey you want. And I see that's starting to bubble. I'll have to get that real quick. Normally I add the butter to this. Let me turn that down. But instead I sauteed the vegetables in the butter today instead of boiling them. So it already has the butter in there. It's just already in there. So I'm not going to add more butter, although you could. Let me check my, oh, there it is, milk. So now that that's bubbling, I'm going to take the 1.5 cups of milk and I'm going to add it to this. And then also a 1.5 cups of broth or stock. I like the stock because it has more flavor. This one doesn't want to open though. It's because my hands are slippery. Now I actually took this original recipe from a Betty Crocker cookbook my mother had when I was a kid. But I increased the amount of sauce because sometimes if you don't, it turns out a little dry. So instead of like a cup of liquid, I'm using a 1.5 cups. So I'm doing 1.5 times the amount of the sauce. Okay, so let me get another spoon. Because I see this honey is going to town boiling over here. We don't want it to go crazy. So I'm mixing this honey and brown sugar, and you would also have butter, but like I said, the butter is actually in the vegetables. So I'm going to then put these vegetables in this, and they will be glazed. So yeah, I know it's kind of crazy to have glazed green beans. I've never made sweetened glazed green beans. I've never heard of anybody that's done this. And it may be terrible. I have no idea. But I just wanted to do something different. Mystery call. Bye-bye, mystery call. So, she usually doesn't call, so that's why I didn't think it would be her. So I'm going to stir this. I am real curious to find out what this is going to taste like with honey and brown sugar on green beans. Never sweetened a green bean dish. I really don't like green beans, but maybe that's why. Maybe I'll like them with brown sugar and honey. Let's find out, shall we? So instead of just making this carrots, which is almost always the glazed carrots, is what I always make. I was like, oh, can I do different? Let me turn on the light too. Can I do different? How about we slap some green beans in there? Let's just see. The other thing I want to do that's different, I've got this desire to do stuff different for a while. I get so stuck in a rut with food, even though it's really good food, I get so tired of the same stuff. Let me stir this real quick because it's going to be heating. I get so tired of the same thing. So I'm also going to put a little dash of cayenne pepper in here, a little red pepper, so it won't be a little spicy. I don't want it too spicy, because I'm going to have it sweet and spicy, just because I want something different. And I'm going to taste this. I've never put cayenne pepper in glazed carrots before either. So really, that's all you do. I can even turn off that. I don't need to keep heating it. They're cooked. Now, let me get a fork. I want to see what it tastes like, because I've never done this with this way before. There's a couple green beans and a carrot. Alright, that's good. You have kids that won't eat green beans? I'm going to add a little salt. Yeah, sweet and salty is good together. Ooh, and I get that little bite of that cayenne, sweet and spicy. Ooh, that is good. If you have kids that won't eat green beans, try putting honey and brown sugar on them. And then see. Pretty good. Okay, so. That's the one for that one. Okay, I'm trying to think which spoon goes in here. So let me turn this up. So as soon as this boils, your white sauce is done. So while I'm waiting for that to happen, let me put the lid on that. Those are done. I'm going to go ahead and get my pan ready. Oh, that cayenne pepper's going to make me sneeze. Hold on a minute. Excuse me. Suddenly I got a whiff of that. All right, so here's my pan. I found, honestly, I don't really need to butter it. I really don't. You can spray it if you want. I would just lightly spray it with if you're going to spray it, you don't hardly need any. Barely spray it if you want to spray your pan. Now, you can put this in a 9 by 13 pan too. And a lot of times I do that, but today I'm using this. This is a 10 by 10 pan. It's hard to find. So I've got 2 cups of rice that has been cooked. I cooked this earlier this morning. I salt it and cook it. So then I'm going to take a third of it and put it in the bottom of the pan. And you don't measure, just guess, a third. And then I've also got some pre-cooked chicken. So last night I made the chicken. This has got the whole of the rice in there. Hold on. The little black piece. The shell didn't come off. So I took 2 chicken breasts. And I actually use chicken tenderloins. So if you use chicken tenderloins, use 4 of those. So the equivalent of 2 chicken breasts. And I put them in the oven and cooked them. And they were frozen solid. So it takes about an hour if you do it in the oven. If they're frozen solid. If they're thawed, it takes about half an hour. You can also boil it. But I've been like roasting the chicken lately. And it's better. And I, again, was looking for something with a little more flavor. So I put a little coconut oil on it so the chicken won't dry out. Just coated it a little bit. Just dribble a little bit on. Then I sprinkled it with salt and pepper, both sides. Tiny bit of cayenne pepper. I'm in a spicy mood today. Not much because I don't want to spice my mother out, but she likes a little bit of spice. A little bit of cayenne pepper, and then I even sprinkled it with a little poultry seasoning because I thought, let's give this chicken. Sometimes white chicken meat is a little boring. It's a little bland. So that has poultry seasoning, a little cayenne pepper, salt and pepper on it. It's roasted. Then you shred the chicken, and this has been in the refrigerator, so it's cold now. But it's pre-cooked chicken. So however you want to pre-cook your chicken, you do it. So then you're going to take a third of the rice, but then half of the chicken. Because you're going to do 3 layers. Oh, that's boiling now, so let me turn it off. You're going to do 3 layers of everything except chicken. Chicken, you only want 2 layers because you don't want the chicken on top because it will dry out. So I have the chicken now spread out, kind of, somewhat in a layer there. Then I'm going to take red and green bell pepper. Now the original recipe tells you to use pimentos and green pepper. So if you want to use a jar of pimentos instead of the red pepper, you can. I like the texture of red pepper better because it has a little crunch to it. So I heat this in the microwave. I pre-cook them a little bit for about 1.5 minutes in the microwave. Then I'm going to take a third of them. This is an excellent Christmas dish because look, it's red and green. Red and green peppers. You can leave the peppers out totally if you have people that will not eat it if it has peppers in it. But it really adds good flavor. And it's pretty. So then now that I have that, this is something else I do that the recipe doesn't tell you to do. The recipe just tells you to put the sauce on top. But I don't want that chicken dried out. So I will dribble some of this sauce. This is called a white sauce. I'll dribble it over the pieces of chicken that are in here just to really make sure they're doused, because you don't want dried chicken. Dried chicken, ugh, no dried chicken. This is a really easy and economical thing to feed a crowd. If you could even double this if you want. This is the full recipe. Like I said, if you put it in a 9 by 13 pan, it looks like a whole lot more, but this will just make it thicker. But see, everything in it's done. So when you cook this, you're not actually cooking it to be done. It's already done. So you're heating it. So I'm taking another third of the rice, and because this is cooled a little bit, I can do this with my hand. If it's piping hot, and you can just make it, but I just made it earlier today. But if it's piping hot, you don't have to do this with a spoon. What time is it today anyway? 11:52. It's not 12 yet. Okay, good. So another third of the rice. Try to make sure you get your chicken covered. The chicken pieces especially. If a pepper or 2 sticks out, that's okay. But you want to try to cover the chicken to, again, keep it from being dry. And then you can take and press it down a little bit if you're putting it in a smaller pan today like I'm doing. Okay, then you're going to take all the rest of the chicken, which is the other half. So remember, chicken in 2 parts. You're going to sprinkle the rest of the chicken on. Now, if you prefer dark meat chicken, you can do that. I just like chicken breast or chicken tenders. Or you can have some of each, you know, however you want to do chicken. You know, you could get a rotisserie chicken. It's already cooked. Pull the pieces off, shred it. Use that. You don't even have to cook your own chicken. I don't add the liquid. I had saved the liquid from when I made that chicken to keep it moist in the refrigerator, but I'm not adding more liquid to this because it'll have plenty. Then I'm going to do another third of those green and red peppers, and the reason I'm saving some of those is because they're pretty on top. So you'll have a little topping of pepper. So this is 1/4 of the red pepper and 1/4 of a green pepper. So you slice it into weeny teeny pieces. Then, since I added another layer, I'm going to do another little dribbling of the sauce over all these pieces of chicken so they will have a coating. Now again, this is not in the recipe. This is my own, to my own device. That I don't like the chicken to get dried out. A dried out piece of chicken is not good. So if you dribble the sauce onto the chicken pieces, you could do this with a spoon if you'd rather do it instead of holding the pan. If you accidentally get too much, it's not going to matter. You're going to pour it all in there in a minute anyway. But cover all the chicken. If you want to leave this part out, you can. Okay, then we're going to take the final third of rice and put that on top. Now, if you would rather make this with brown rice than white, you can. It won't taste the same now. Brown rice tastes completely different, but if you like brown rice, just, you know, brown rice takes a lot longer to cook, but if you eat brown rice, you know how to cook it. Just cook it like you normally cook it. You just start out with 2 cups of dry. Okay, so then I'm going to spread it around. Cover the chicken. Really make sure at this layer that you've got that chicken covered. So it doesn't dry out. See, there's a little piece sneaking out, but it's covering. I mean, if you don't cover it, it'll just be a little dry. You can still eat it. So, okay, so I'm pressing it down a little bit since I am using a little bit of a smaller pan. And then we will put, because see, that's pretty boring, white rice. We're going to put these little peppers on top. Again, these are optional. If you don't want peppers or you have people that will not eat peppers, they can just pick them out. But if you want to leave it out, you can. And it really adds good flavor. Now, the other thing this recipe calls for is something like 1/2 cup of sliced almonds. Now, nobody I feed will eat that on a casserole. So, I've never done the almonds. But you can add some slivered almonds, or sliced almonds. I think it's slivered almonds you add. Like 1/2 cup of them on top. Just decorative. Then, once you get that done, you're going to take the rest of this white sauce and you are going to kind of pour it evenly over all this rice. This is the magic to this casserole right here. This is going to make it taste so good. I made this one time for a woman who had had a baby and she was home and people at the church were taking her meals. And so I had made her this chicken and rice casserole, she and her husband. And she told me the next day, oh please, well, the next day, it was when I saw her again at church. Month later probably, she said, oh my goodness, that chicken rice casserole is the best thing I've ever eaten. She said, would you give me the recipe? And I said, sure, I share recipes. So I gave her the recipe and she goes, is that all there is to it? That's really simple. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's easy, it's budget friendly, and it is good. And she said, the next day after we had your chicken and rice casserole, she said somebody brought another, you know, something else for us to eat. And she said when we did eventually eat whatever they brought too, it was perfectly good. She said, but my husband and I were looking at each other like, you know, we still got that chicken and rice casserole left over too. And she said, what, do you want to eat the new thing we have today or save that for tomorrow and eat the chicken and rice casserole? She said, he said, I'm eating a chicken and rice casserole. So that's how good this is. Try it and see. It's the sauce. Like I said, it's the sauce that's the magic of this thing. And the fact that I add like 1.5 times the amount of what the recipe says. It's so good. Then you're going to bake this covered. This one you cover with foil. We're going to bake it. Let me see where my recipe goes. At 350. for like 30 minutes. Yep, 30 minutes. So I always poke a little hole in the foil so it has a vent. Whenever I do foil, I make a little vent. Cover it in foil. And I'm going to put it in there. The cake only has 17 more minutes, but I'm going to put it in there with it. And so then we'll add 13 more minutes to the oven when the cake's done. Now, everything is ready except for the beets. The beets are over here. Let me bring them over. Now, I've made the golden beets before. These are the red beets. You just do it like a baked potato, 400 degrees for 55 to 65 minutes. Let's leave it like that. Then what you do, now the thing about beets is the color, and that color is like dye, and it will get everywhere. So I'm doing this on a tray, and the thing is it will make your fingers purple. Yes, it will. So you want to try, look at that. You see, they need to be peeled because they have peeling on them. And so if you take a paper towel and just rub it, it should pull the peeling off. If not, we can get a knife. I'm going to need a knife anyway, but see, you know what beets do. That's what they do. You don't want that on your hands if you can help it. So try not to touch them. The thing you could do here is use some gloves if you're going to touch them. Otherwise, try not to touch them. Don't put them on your counter. Don't put them on a dishcloth unless you want a purple dishcloth. You just have to be careful. They're going to turn everything purple. So I'm actually using a knife to pull off the peeling. You can't even hardly see the peeling anymore because it turned the peeling purple too. Now these are like the beets that you get in the store in the jar, pickled beets, except they're not pickled. So they're not sweet and they're not sour. They're really good roasted. If you don't want to deal with this purple, everything will turn purple deal, get the golden beets. I actually found those last time and made golden. They're yellow. They taste very similar. They're a lighter flavor than these. But beets are supposed to be really good for you. But if you don't like the pickled ones, try roasted beets and see if you like them. Just trying to get all of the peeling off of here. Like I said, it's hard to tell because it's all the same color now. Then what I do is I have a pan right here of butter. I don't think you can see that yet. Alright. Let me get that out of the way. Alright, so this is the peeling. I don't want any of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this beet and try not to touch it, and you're going to slice it. Or you could do it in chunks if you'd rather. But I'm going to slice it. Then I'm aiming for that pan of butter right there. I didn't get a very big pan because I only have 4 little beets. I'm actually going to turn that on low. Put it in the little pan. Uh-oh. Now see, I made a mess. I don't think you can see that here. Purple stove. I'll clean that though. Alright. So now let's open another one. There's just 4. So if you have never tried roasted beets before, unless you utterly despise beets, try it and see. So I'm going to cut off, I pull off the stem, so I'm going to cut off what's left of the stem and then peel it down. Now you're supposed to be able to take a cloth, like a paper towel, and just rub it and get off the peeling. You can do that too, but you're running the risk of you getting that on your hands that way too. So I have been, maybe pull it with a fork. It's wanting to stick today. So I'm cutting it with a knife. So whatever works, just cut the peeling off. Or rub the peeling off. It's a lot easier if you could touch this with your hands, so you might want to put on some gloves and do it. You know, just like a regular silicone gloves or whatever. We all have gloves now. I do have some gloves somewhere, but I didn't get them out. I'd have to go hunt for them. I'm almost done. It doesn't take that long. There's only 4. Okay, I think I have all of the peeling off now. Let's put it on. Let's go back to this one. I think I've got it all off there. Let go. Let go of my knife because I'm going to slice, put it in the pan. Are you seeing what I'm doing? Not really. Slice the beet. So these won't have the taste of the pickled beets because there's no vinegar, there's no sugar. I'm going to do butter, salt, and pepper. They do have the texture. You know, the beets kind of have a little bit of a texture. They do have the beet texture. But they will, if you don't like the vinegar sugar thing of beets, you won't have that. That just flew across the room there. There. Alright, so there's 2. Got a couple more. This one's got a little more liquid here. See, I'm trying not to dye my hands. Okay, put this over here. Cut off the rest of the stem. Pull off the peeling however you can get it to come off. You just really don't want to do this with bare hands. Or you will have purple hands. It'd be just like dyeing Easter eggs. If you do the yellow golden beets, it won't stain as bad. It will still stain. It will still have a little bit of a yellowish stain, but not like this. It won't be purple. I'm making all kind of noise with this. This tray doesn't fit on this little tiny burner it's sitting on. This is my only cool burner. Almost got all the peeling off here, I think. Oh, it wants to stick to the knife. It's driving me crazy. Alright, so I'm going to pull it over here now and slice. I say you could cut it in chunks if you'd rather. Then we're going to put it over there in my little pan of butter, and I'm going to add salt and pepper, and that's it. It's done. One more beet. Do not wear white clothes and do this. I haven't gotten it on my clothes, but I guarantee you if you wear white clothes, you'll get it on them. Because that's what white clothes attract stuff, you know. White clothes just are asking for it. We have 10 more minutes till the cake should be done. Cutting off the top. Cutting off the peeling. Because rubbing it off with the napkin is not working for me. It's supposed to, but today we're using the knife. It's sticking really bad today, so that's alright. So then all of this, you just throw this away because it's all peeling. It's a lot easier to see the peeling on the golden beets, I'll tell you that. Because this gets turned the same color as beets. Boy, it doesn't want to come off the knife. Look at that. It's really wanting to stick to stuff. I think it was alive. Another piece right here that doesn't want to come off. I don't usually have this much of a fight. I wonder if it needed to cook a little longer, but they feel completely done, so I don't think so. You test them like potatoes. When you stick a fork in them and it feels soft, they're done. Okay, so then I'm going to slice this one. You see they're not really very big. Okay, that is sticking together right there. That means there's peeling over there that's holding it together. Let's set that up. Peeling will just be tough. So I'm going to put that there. Okay, so now I'm going to put you over here. There's my little pan of butter. Let's move this pan of mess out of the way. It's a big pan of mess. And so we're going to stir it in the butter. Then I'm going to take some salt and some pepper. Stir it up again. I'm going to have a little taste test. There's not very many. So if you're feeding a crowd, you need more than one bundle of beets. Let's have one. That's good. I really like beets. Pickled beets, roasted beets, I like beets. I'll clean up that mess it made right there before that permanently stained my stove purple. Okay, so I'm just going to heat that up a little bit because it is cold. Put that on. Okay, so we are now done, except for waiting for everything to be done, and I smell chocolate fudge cake, hot fudge chocolate cake is what it's called. I will take pictures and put the recipes in the comments for you later. I hope you enjoyed watching and that you have a very great Sunday. And I will see you later to do my ministry live where I sing and play the piano and give you some thoughts from the Bible. And until then, have a great day. Bye.